the good and the bad, basically, of property investment was discussed. Lots and lots of good information. Everybody's opinion and story was listened to. A lot of the information that was provided rang very true to me during that discussion. And I just felt that none of it was sugar-coated. I got a very good sense that these people really knew what they were talking about. And I was hooked. So, yeah, we decided that we'd proceed. So we engaged Sybil. I knew that she had the backing of the Adviseable team, and I knew that there was a wealth of experience there. Just felt very, very, very comfortable, and thought that we were in really good hands. My name is Anita. William and I have been married for 28 years. We have 2 children, a daughter who is currently at university and a son who is completing his HSC this year. We'd like to retire, and within the next few years, we'll be empty nesters within the next couple of years. We'd like to take we'd like to take the opportunity of an early retirement so that we can fulfil our desire to travel. We'd love to see Australia, perhaps buy a camper van and do some travelling. I've never been to Europe. It's on my bucket list, and it's something I would love to do. We decided that we needed a few more funds to do that, to top up our superannuation, and felt that an investment property would be a good place to start. The investment property would be able to provide us with some steady, regular grocery money so that we can get out there and enjoy our retirement.
Well, we've been fortunate enough to have a career where we've been employed, and as we approach our retirement, even though we've been able to manage the equity in our own home, we find that in addition to superannuation programs, the opportunity to have an investment property gives us greater assurance that we'll have a bit of extra money to do the things we want to do. And with plans to travel, we probably want to travel nicely and a little bit more luxury, and that's why we want the extra income to have an investment property. And primarily it's to diversify our interests and have the opportunity to have backups in case one part of the financial industry collapses or reduces at a time when it'll be offset by a property investment. The big part of the decision-making process for us was wanting to have good quality information to make a decision on, but we didn't have the opportunity or the time to invest in doing the research, so we were using Adviseable to do the research on our behalf.
We did actually make a foray into the property investment market many years ago by renting out our house in Katoomba. We made a lot of mistakes. Poor returns. We had very poor property managers at the time. The tenants didn't look after the house, and it ended up costing us a lot of money. So we were burnt once. We realised that we just don't have the expertise or the confidence to utilise the best of the investment market. So Adviseable were fantastic.
So initially we met with Adviseable and we went through a comprehensive understanding of our needs, and it's very important because the property that we would ultimately be looking at was tailored to our needs and within our circumstances, and Sybil took the time to go through work with us exactly what our needs were and what we could afford and how we'd go about it. So in the end, Sybil did all the work. She was absolutely fantastic because she provided all the information for us. She was persistent in getting everything done on time. She gave us lots of information and lots of feedback and lots of options, which is important because I think for me, part of the decision to go with Adviseable is because the options that provided still means we're in control and we're getting the information provided to us.
Yeah, well, Sybil presented us with a range of areas that may suit our circumstances. Sybil sat us down and basically said, well, what do you want out of this? And I said, we want to pay our groceries at the end of the day. So she provided us with, I think we narrowed it down to 3 areas. Then she provided us with cash flow scenarios for each of those particular areas, for a typical house in that particular area, what sort of people, gave us a bit of background on what sort of people are living in those areas, cash flow versus capital gains, those sorts of things. Very extensive, very detailed, spot on. And from there we were able to hone in on an area that we felt was within our price range, that we felt comfortable with, because it was an area that we knew was probably going to be a growth area. From there we just gave the okay and Sybil took over. And she couldn't have done a better job. It was fantastic. We were kept informed every single step of the way. We were given options every step of the way. The decisions were all ours, but the advice and the explanations about what we were getting into, why we were buying in this area, were just spot on. And the process was seamless. We found a property very, very quickly, and yeah, the rest is history. It was a very, very, very easy process. We felt very, very confident all the way through. Yeah, she's a bit like a dog with a bone when it comes to getting a good price. You could see that she was very passionate about what she was doing. Very, very good. We'd sit for 3 hours and just talk property.
The advantage is that the Adviseable is qualified to provide services in other states. So that gets back to my earlier point about being able to operate and provide options in areas that we're not familiar with. So that we saw as an advantage because we weren't pigeonholed into a particular area that we were familiar with. So that gave us greater options to consider. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, basically, we're paying for the expertise, right? My negotiation skills are pretty woeful. So yes, there was a fee involved. It was all discussed up front. We knew what we were getting into. It's a fee for expertise that we don't have, so I was more than willing to pay that. It's tax deductible. With very poor negotiation skills myself, I think that Sybil did an excellent job at getting an excellent price, and I think that in itself paid for the fee. I've worked in the insurance industry for a long time. I know that nothing is free. There is no such thing as a free service. And you pay for what you get.
Exactly. Yeah.
So no, more than I would highly recommend that people use Adviseable. I think the fee was perfectly reasonable for the service provided. Sybil held our hand all the way through, provided us with an outstanding property manager, which is added value again because he has been able to manage the property very
close
well.
eye on it.
Keeps a very close eye on it. Has managed to secure very, very good tenants for us. So that is another aspect that we would not have been able to do ourselves. So, yeah.
And I'm a great believer in you get what you pay for, and obviously with a significant investment like that, you want to get it right in the first place.